Welcome everybody. This is Dawn's Level 2 and we are working in the Black Lowrey Songbook. This week we are doing Just a Closer Walk with Thee. It is on page 26. 26. We're going to talk a little bit today also about how to set up some of these easy organs. Okay, so if you have these easy organs, or a Freedom 3 or a Discovery 3, those are perfect organs to do this with. If you've got larger organs, everything that I talk about can be applied to your organ as well, so no worries. Okay, what am I talking about? Well, when you set up your instrument, you always want to go left to right. But for a lot of you, you have the button here that's called Song Setup. Song Setup is very good because all you have to do is go to Song Setup and scroll. Everything's in alphabetical order. I didn't even check to see if this one was in there. It might be and it might not be.
It is.
Is it? Okay, there it is. When you get it in the window, now you touch the red Select button. And all the lights change, and I see it came up on Gospel Pianist at 78. Now, if you don't have this, or you don't like what it's set up for you, let's see what it sounds like. I think I'll just play it for you so you get an idea of what this song goes like. That's actually a very nice background. Now, if you didn't like that background, how do you know what else you can use? Well, this is what really tells you what you can use, not this. Although this is a good suggestion, usually, and I'm talking mostly about the Hal Leonard books that you have, the other Easy Play books you might have in your collection, there's always going to be some kind of a suggestion up here for a registration or a rhythm. They're good suggestions, but that's all they are, suggestions. This is really what tells you what kind of music style that you can set your song up with. Well, how do I know that? Because the top number tells me that there are 4 beats in a measure. Well, what's a measure? A measure is everything between these up and down lines. 4 beats to a measure. The bottom number tells me that the quarter note gets 1 count. Well, what's the quarter note? It's one of these black notes with a stem. And as you can see, this measure right here has 4 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we'll go over note values a little bit, but let's go back to the 4/4. What you need is a rhythm that's going to count to 4. I'm going to give you a hint. Everything on your music style list over here will work with the exception of the waltz, which counts to 3. If I put it on a waltz, can you sing this song to that background? Well, some of you will probably say I can make it work. But normally, 3/4 does not work with a 4/4 background. And the whole trick is to use your ears. If you can count the song, if you can sing the song to whatever rhythm you're trying, then you've got a good one. And even if it's 4/4, you may not necessarily like that rhythm for this song that you've got chosen. But I can go to absolutely any one of these that's not a waltz and make it fit just a closer walk because it will count to 4. Well, how do I know it counts to 4? This is traditional full band. Oh, yeah, we could be marching. Sure we could. How do I know it counts to 4? Because you have some colored lights here, and every single organ has this. Red, green, green, green. 1, 2, 3, 4. And all that does is help you to figure out where the beats are so you know where to start. And that'll also tell you if it's a 4/4 or if it's a 3/4. If you had it on waltz, red, green, green, red, green, green. That's how you would know that it would count to 3 instead of to 4. And so that's how you know which kind of a rhythm to use. And try the different ones. Why? Because every time your fingers get on the keys and you are trying to play the song, you're also learning what's going on with your organ, so it's accomplishing two things. Now, remember what I said. If you're going to play along with me today, you're not going to use these. This is just for when you're at home after we're done with class. Today, when you play along with me, I want you to keep all these blue ones off and just put on easy. Now, when you just put on easy, you have to make sure that you have on a lower sound. Usually there is one. Usually there is one or more. Now, where are your lower sounds? On the Disco 3 and some of your smaller instruments, there is a section over here that says lower, and it will light up, and you just pick the one you want, organ or ensemble. On the Easy 4, it happens to be over here, and it does say lower, and there are two gray buttons. There's an ensemble button and a more button. The ensemble button is the one that gives you, I'm going to turn the more button off, the humming. And it'll show up in the window. It says organ 8 plus strings. That's an 8-foot organ pipe plus some strings. And you can scroll to just strings, just vocals, just an organ 8, just an organ 4, or an organ 8 and 4. So these are the ones that will continue to hum, because what the easy button does is it turns on your one-finger chord system, your MCS. It puts that bass note in there, and it turns the memory on so that it holds that chord. I'm going to turn off the ensemble and put the more on. What's in the more? The more is more of the percussive sounds, like a piano. All right, now a piano, what happens? Oh, the whole sound dies. That's because when you touch a key on a piano, on a real piano, the hammer goes down, your key goes down, the hammer in the back hits a string, the string vibrates, but then eventually the string is going to stop. And so now what am I left with? Just the bass note. So it gives you a nice percussive sound, but the sound eventually dies away, which is why if you're just going to put it on easy, I usually shy away from those sounds. Or I can have other pianos or vocals or more strings or vibes. That's kind of nice if you're playing some Christmas music, but once again, the vibes are going to decay. So if you're just using easy, I highly recommend putting on one of the ensembles and having one of your humming sounds, organs, strings, vocals. For those of you on the larger organs, where are they? You have tabs on this side of the organ that say, and it'll say, if you read it, it'll say lower tabs. And what are you going to have? Flutes, which are organ sounds, strings, and they're yellow, and the tabs will be there, and then vocal. And so those are your humming tabs that just stay constant. How do you stop the humming? Any 3 notes in a row or keys in a row on the lower keyboard will stop the humming. Now it can't be 3 white ones. That's going to give you a mud chord, but it has to be 2 blacks and a white, or 2 whites and a black, as long as they are 3 consecutive keys in a row. My favorite, because the hand position for the left should be here, my favorite way to do it is to lay your thumb across the F and the G and then put your pointer on the F sharp. That gives you a no chord and shuts off the humming. We have had some songs in the back of the book where we've had to put a no chord not only at the beginning of the song but also at the end of a song or in the middle of a song. No chord. And it becomes the 4th chord that you learn besides the C, F, and G. Let's talk about chords. Every finger in the left hand gets a white note. C, D, E, F, G. Then if you push these 2 fingers up between these black keys just a little bit, now you have bumpers. Your hand isn't going anywhere. If you're down here, it's too easy for your hand to roam around. That you don't want, because then you got to keep looking to get your hand back in position. I also don't want to see you play chords like this. Hand up in the air. Or I don't want to see fingers up in the air like this. Why? Because then you got to look to get back where you are. So what you're looking for is to keep those fingers super glued to the keys. Pinky, pointer, thumb, and these other 2 fingers here on ring finger on D, 3rd finger on E, super glue them. When you play your chord, you're just going to touch and release. Let the instrument carry out the chord for you. Why do I have you do this technique? Why do I not just have you hold the chord? Because sometimes it's a computer, and if you roll the chord from one to the next, it won't change because you have not told it to stop playing this chord before putting the next one down. Here comes Renee. So you're just going to touch and release, touch and release. Keep your fingers nice and relaxed. Do not get into claw position, because you do that, your muscle gets tight, and then it's really difficult to play for a long period of time. Nice and loose, nice and relaxed. And this is the position where you can reach all the rest of your chords. Remember, you're never going to go south of that red C, meaning that you can actually take a 3x5 card and stick it in here, because you're never going to go below that. You're also never going to go above the B, because now you've got all the keys covered with your fingers. Your thumb is the most elastic, and so your thumb can reach A, your thumb can reach B without having to move your hand. You don't have to reach C because your pinky's already got C covered. So your hand is just going to stay right here forever and ever, and all your easy play chords can now be played from this position. Why is that important? Because eventually you're not going to want to look at this hand. This hand is just going to go on its own. You're going to see a chord up here, and your fingers are just going to automatically go where they're supposed to go. That's why the red, blue, and green are so fabulous, because your brain actually sees the colors before they recognize the letters. This is the secret right here to all this fabulous easy play music. And as we learn more chords, and for those of you who have been with me for a while, at the end of the book we have lots of songs with lots more chords. They just all stem from this position. Minor chords, you'll need 2 fingers, but you just feel them. And yes, right now you probably have to look, and that's okay. But that's just like when you were learning typing back in the day. Now you're just going to be learning chords just like you were learning typing. So now you have to look. But after a while, you won't have to. That way, this hand can be all over the place. Now, on an easy 4, and I'm sure you noticed when I played, I use the top keyboard, and it doesn't matter which one's middle C. There is no such thing as middle C on these instruments. It's whichever octave sounds the best with the sounds that were chosen for you. And the song setup gave me 2 sounds on an easy 4. If you're on an easy 2, you got 1 sound chosen for you, and it's right next door to your chords. Or an easy 1, or a discovery 3. On those single keyboard ones, you just have to have whatever middle C is good for you. don't come all the way down here close to your chords. You want to keep it up here so that there's a little bit of space. That's actually a more comfortable way to sit too. Now with your Easy 4, you not only have a sound here, you also have a sound down here. Those sounds were given to you by the song setup. Now, are you allowed to change those? Sure you are. Now, this is a little bit more complicated. We're not going to get into that today. We're not going to get into what goes in here. Song setup, the only thing I'm going to tell you is that song setup will always give you one sound on top and one sound on bottom. And also, if you noticed, I like this position for the top. Sometimes I'm up here. But when you go to the lower keyboard, you want to go the diagonal. You don't want to go straight down because you'll run into the chords. So when you decide to drop to the lower keyboard for a second sound, you want to make sure you do the triangle, do the diagonal. Then you'll be in the proper position to play the lower keyboard. This goes for all the double keyboard instruments. If you're starting here on the upper keyboard, don't come straight down. Do the triangle, do the diagonal, and you'll always be in the correct position for the second sound. Now, song setup does not turn on this little blue button here. It's called style setup, or on some of the instruments it's called rhythm preset. Rhythm preset or style setup, that's the I don't know what I'm doing button. Okay, why? Because if I'm over here choosing one of the music styles myself, then I need to use the I don't know what I'm doing button. The song setup doesn't need that, so it turns it off for you. If I come over here and decided I wanted to play this on country, I can choose now full band, pianist, or guitarist. Oh, let's just choose country full band. I'm going to check to make sure the tempo is okay. Ooh, tempo's a little fast. The tempo is the number in the window that tells you how many beats per minute. So I'm going to bring it down to what song setup had, which was, I believe, 78. Now I'm going to try country full band, and I'm going to turn the style setup on. Why? Because now it's choosing a sound up here and an appropriate sound down here for this country full band music style. This works on all the organs. And I like the country background because it's an easy beat to hear. So if you're just practicing, or you're just getting started using your music styles, this is a good one. Or on some of the larger instruments, it's called basic country. It's an easy beat to hear. And it gives me an appropriate sound for country. Then I move my hand diagonally if I want to change keyboards. And that works for every single one of these. So if you're using song setup, and I go to just a closer walk, scroll, 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 hit select, it turns my style setup off. It's going to choose a music style, and it's going to choose two sounds that are perfect for that song. When you go back to using your own music styles, make sure you turn on your style setup, or the other name for it is rhythm preset. This is one of the most important lessons you can learn on any of your instruments, on any of them, for those of you that have the song setup. If you don't have song setup, see me after the concert. There's your commercial for the day. Okay, let's talk about the right hand. The right hand is going to play all these notes on these 5 lines and 4 spaces. And back in the day, we had to learn every good boy does fine or deserves fudge. Those were the 2 things. And the spaces were all F, A, C, E. We don't have to memorize that anymore because now the letters are written right inside the notes. Yay! And so we just match those letters with the letters that are written right here on your instrument. And after a while, your fingers get comfortable knowing where those are. This is what level 1 and level 2 are all about. Getting your fingers comfortable on the keys. This is what level 1 and 2 are about. After a while, you'll be able to feel distances. How far away is one key from the other? Sometimes you have to stretch your fingers, and so you have to know those distances. But you'll always have to look at your right hand. This is why you want to get the left hand, which is the colors up here, so automatic that you don't have to really look at that. Then you can look at your right hand and see what it's doing, because it will be different in every single song you do. Right hand will be different. As far as note values, remember I told you not to count. Play the song the way you would sing it. But if you have a song that you don't know, that's when you need to know what these note values actually are. A quarter note is this black note with a stem, and it gets one of the beats. So every time you hear a beat, you would play one of these quarter notes. Right off the bat at the beginning of a song, you have a half note with a dot. A dotted half note, and it's sharing the measure with a quarter note, gets 3 counts. The dot adds 50% of the note's value. Here you have some eighth notes. There are 2 black notes tied with a stem. That means 2 eighth notes equals 1 quarter note or 1 count. You just play them a little faster. Just play them a little faster. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, we have a half note. That's just a white note with a stem but no dot. 2 counts. Just hold it a little longer. And on the back side, on the other page, you have a whole note here. That is a round circle, white note, no stem. It is the only note in the measure, so it gets all 4 counts. Now this one gets more than 4 counts because there is a tie, that's that little smiley face line, that ties it to this dotted half note. So as you can see, the letter has been eliminated from that note. That just means you leave your finger on it. So whatever finger you're putting on that G, you're going to leave it for all of those counts. Your lyrics also help you. You've only got 1 syllable for that whole time. Now for those of you checking out the chords, yeah, you're going to have to change a chord while you are holding this note. So you hold this chord for the first 4 counts, then you change the chord while your right hand is still holding that note. Complete independence of hands. I believe those are all the notes that we have to worry about in this song. And we need to know the ties, because the ties will tie one note to the next, meaning you just hold it for the count of both notes. Don't you count, let me count. I will count for you. And you always play the song the way you know it. That's the best advice I can give you for any of this beautiful, easy play. Play it the way you would sing it, and it's going to be musical. It's going to be nice. Maybe you're going to change a note in here a couple times, or maybe you're going to hold a note a little longer. That's fine. That means it's your arrangement. We do have a symbol here. This little lightning bolt or a bird in flight, that is a quarter rest. It's 1 beat of silence. And you know that because your dotted half note gets 3. It's sharing the measure with this symbol. So just by deduction, you know that that quarter rest gets 1 beat of silence. Don't worry if you hold this a little longer and you give this one a little shorter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay, I think that's the only rest we have to deal with is quarter rests. But we do have this symbol right here. That little hashtag symbol, little tic-tac-toe symbol, that is called a sharp. Now sharps are, for all intents and purposes, an easy play, the black keys. The black keys. Now if I put a sharp tack on my bench and sat on it, where am I going? Straight up. So sharps will send you up the keyboard. Up the keyboard is to the right. If I have a C here, and a C here, and a C here, they're all C's, but they get higher as you go up the keyboard. Higher as you go up the keyboard. Why did we lose Sue Kelly? She's coming back. We lost you for a while, Sue. What happened? So up the keyboard is this way. So if you have a sharp in front of the note, you know that you're not going to play an F. You're going to play an F sharp or a sharp F. So you have to find your F and go up to the very first black key, up the keyboard or to the right. This is an F sharp. So a G sharp would be this one, or an A sharp would be this one. And you can see that over the top of each black key, you have a sharp name and a flat name, a flat symbol. A flat symbol is that little baby B. We don't have any of them in this one, in this song. But flats are like flat tires. They go down. And so the first key down the keyboard, first black key down the keyboard, is a flat. B flat, A flat, G flat. Oh, but I thought, Dawn, you said it was F sharp, G sharp, A sharp. Yes. Every single black key has two names, a sharp name and a flat name. The official technical definition of a sharp is raising the pitch of a key one key up, or one half step up. All right, so that being said, I'm going to ask you a trick question. Is there such a thing as a B sharp? Because there's no black key there. Is there such a thing as an E sharp? Because there's no black key there. What would you think?
Yes.
Yes, there is such a thing, isn't there? Technically, an E sharp is an F. It's the half step up. And in easy play music, you'll probably never ever see an E sharp. They'll just call it an F to make it easier for us, the easy players. Technically, there is such a thing as a B sharp. It would be a C. So, in easy play music, they'll just call it a C. But now you know the answers if you ever go on Jeopardy. That's pretty good too. All right, so we've learned an awful lot about what the instrument can do for us. Take out your pencils and let's put in some fingering for the right hand. Now, why do I want you to use pencil instead of pen? Because my fingers are short, and so sometimes my fingers are going to feel more comfortable doing one thing, and somebody's longer fingers might feel more comfortable doing something else. So you can always erase mine and put your own in as long as you're doing beautiful flowing music and doing one finger after the other. The only rules that you have to remember are you are not allowed to go thumb, thumb, poke, poke if you run out of fingers. You are also not allowed to go pinky, pinky, poke, poke, and you're not allowed to turn your hand over this way, because then it would hurt. So those are the only rules you have to follow. I'm going to give you my fingering as a guide, just to get you started. And some people like fingering all the way through, even the advanced classes. So no matter where you are on your musical journey, fingering is important. And I'm going to tell you something. Diane Awe, some of you know her. She is a premier Lowrey concert artist who has been all over the world. She uses fingering. And she and I have talked many times about teaching, because she's also a teacher. And she says, I am so happy to see that you're teaching fingering. Not enough teachers do. And it is so important. Yeah, it is, because being consistent with your fingers is the key to right hand good playing. Well, what do I mean by being consistent? Well, music is repetitive. If you look at the first phrase, da 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 da, I'll bet you if you look in this music, you're going to find that phrase someplace else in the music. Sure enough, there it is on page 2 at the top of the page. Same thing. So by being consistent, we want you to use the same fingers each time you play that similar phrase. That's going to just help your fingers to feel the song. And yeah, you'll always have to look, but at least your fingers will start to get comfortable on the keys. And that's your job in level 2. Let's do some fingering. I always write my fingers right underneath the note. And yeah, I change them sometimes, but this is what I do, as I write with pencil so that later on you can erase them and put your own in, or erase them completely if you want.
Dawn,
Or, yes.
This is what was distracting me. Hold on. I gotta lift it up. I
Where
was
are
trying
you?
to put Zoom on my tablet so I could play and watch it on and do it on my organ.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect.
I was
Yeah, I was wondering
excited.
why we lost you for
But
a
I
minute.
had to be in class to be able to do it. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you did that. Yep. All right, pencils. G3, G sharp 4, A5, E1, G3, F sharp 2. And if you notice, those sharp signs are always in front of the note that is supposed to be sharped. F1. Let's go to the second line. D5, C4, B3, G1, A2, C4, C4, A2, G1. Let's go to the third line. E5, 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 C3, D4, E5, E5, D4, C3, C3, A2, and then G1 all the way across the rest of your Gs. Now, when I just told you can't do thumb, 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 you're staying on the same note. You can do thumb, thumb, thumb if you're on the same note. If you're staying on that note, you can use the same finger. Let's go to the top of the next page. G1. In the rest, this rest, put a little check mark. A check mark is a visual symbol to just let you know I'm going to lift my hand, take a breath with my hand, and set it down into a new hand position. Next phase, we're going to start our G with a 3. Why? Because it's exactly the same as what we did in line 1 of that page, of this first page. So we're going to repeat the fingering. G3, G sharp 4, A5, E1, G3, F sharp 2, F1. And once you get your fingers on your instrument, you're going to find that that phrase is the hardest one in this song because your fingers are going to be all tight together because you have to get those black keys in between there too. And no, you're not allowed to use the same finger for a black key and just slide it down onto a white key. 2 fingers for 2 keys. Line 2, that first F is a 1. Then we're going to reach up to that high D with a 5. C4, B3, G1, A2, C4. Next line, C4, A2, G1. The high E is a 5, E5. Next line, E5, C3, D4, E5, E5, D4, C3. The end of that line, C3, A2, G1, 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 all the way across. Now there's one symbol we did not talk about. At the end of the song, you have 2 dots, a thin line, and a thick line. Those are known as repeat signs, repeat dots. And normally what you will do when you see repeat dots is look for the same symbol somewhere in the song where it's facing, these dots are facing that way. If you have dots facing the other way, you would look for them. Well, as I'm looking, I don't see any. So what that means is that you automatically go back to the beginning of the song and play it again. As you can see, you do have a second verse. So those are your repeat dots. And if you don't see a second pair to match that first pair, you automatically just go back to the beginning of the song. Now, if you want to use highlighters, highlighters really help you. It's what we call reading the musical roadmap. Again, because your eyes will view the colors faster than reading the symbols. So if you want to play it twice, and you don't have to play it twice, I'm going to mark those dots with a color. Don't use permanent marker because then it goes through the pages and it ruins the song underneath it. And I'm going to use the same color in between the 4/4 and the G. And then I know to go back there to start the song again. Or not, you can just play it once. It's totally up to you. Or you can play it 2 or 3 times. That's totally up to you as well. Okay, so now that we have our fingering in, put your organs on easy only. You can do one hand at a time. You do not need to play 2 hands at a time in level 2. Although I will tell you, keep trying, because the more you try, the easier it gets. And that's what we are eventually looking for, is getting these 2 hands coordinated. There's no time limit on it. It's not a race. This is a hobby, and you do it at your own speed. So no worries. This is something that you do for fun, not because somebody's forcing you to do it. You'll never have to take an exam. You'll never have to play a recital. No worries.
What tempo are you using?
I'm going to use, I think I'm going to take it all the way down to 68,
Okay,
which is
thank you.
10 points under that 78. And I'm using country because it is an easy beat to follow. Something that you can all hear. I want you to follow this one. Don't follow yours. Make sure that you only have on easy here. All right, and if you just want to do right hand, that's fine. If you want to do both, go for it. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop right there. Wow, that's different than anything we've ever done before. Normally we have 5 fingers in a row and you end up playing all those keys. Well, now this is not going to work on this because you have a G3, a G sharp 4, and an A5. Your fingers are all squished up together. So you just have to make sure you follow what fingers go on what note. And just play one finger after the other to be comfortable. And no, sometimes your hand does not stay in one position. Let's try this again. Let's go back to the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. See how tight your fingers are together? 3, 4, tie, 2, 3, rest. 3, 4, tie, 2, 3, rest. 3, 4, hold, 2. Top of the page, 1, 2, 3, 4, change the chord. 2, 3, change hand positions. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, rest. 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, rest. 3, 4, 1, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, rest. Change hand positions. Back to the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, rest. 3, rest. Change hand positions. One, two, three, four. Hold. 2, 3. Rest. Stretch. 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3. Rest. 3, 4, 1. Rest. Okay, nice. Yeah, this one looks like it's super easy, but actually the fingers being so tight together to get those black keys in between those white keys, that's the trick to this one. Any questions? Nope. Did you learn one thing today? One thing, either about your instrument or about music. If you learned one thing, then you are 100% successful. Yep. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to find your personal assistant, okay, at the closest store, or you can use me, 5028@fletchermusic.com. Email me with any questions. You can call me if you want. My number's on the website, but I usually answer emails faster than the phone because usually the phone rings 4 times and then goes to voicemail. And next week, we're going to do the song after St. Louis Blues, which is The Lady is a Tramp. So if you wanted to start taking a look at page 104, that's not a level 2 song. But what we will do is we'll learn how to make some minor chords like we always do. And give you fingering and all that good stuff so that if you want to start playing it, please feel free to do so. And you never have to master any of these songs. But again, level 2 is about getting your fingers comfortable on the keys. That's it. That's what level 2 is about. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. And only play the songs that you truly love. If it's a song that reminds you of an old girlfriend or, somebody, it just makes you cry, or you just don't care to play the song, don't! Honestly, only play the songs that you truly, truly love. That is the best advice I can give you. Okay, if there are no more questions, nope. Go to your instruments and enjoy the rhythms. Change all your rhythms. Anything 4/4 goes. I know David's going to put it on disco, and he's going to do just a closer walk. Disco? Yeah! Because it counts to 4 and it works. So absolutely, absolutely just enjoy the songs.
It will put some life in the steps of it.
Yes, it will. I'm doing a concert tomorrow for those of you that have gotten invitations to your 4-person concert series for this month. My concert is tomorrow at 3. I am playing on a medium-sized organ. So if you didn't get an invitation and want one, email me and I'll forward you the link and you can click on it, and that way Robert can send you the link tomorrow. Okay? You guys are the bestest. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Love you guys. I can't do it without you.